Hey there, folks. Kevin Wagner here. A lot of you guys have probably seen my postings I've been making since about 2018, 2017 about my Tuffy Bass and Marauder, a 1990. It's that boat right there. I love that boat. It's been a lot of places with me. That boat right there spent over 100 days in Canada. Um, Eagle Lake, the Vermilion Bay area lakes, Minnesota lakes, Wisconsin lakes, Illinois, Michigan, rivers. It's been a lot of places. I like that boat a lot. I love that boat, but it's getting long in the tooth. So what I did is I was fishing in 2017 and the console is just getting really loose and wiggly. It doesn't happen overnight, but you kind of begin to accept it as it's happening. And one day I just had to try to fix it. So I got up underneath the bunk cover and I tried to tighten a bolt under there, and it was like sawdust under there. There was no place for the bolt to tighten, and the floor had continued to get more spongy over time. In fact, we're going to take a look over here. I decided to pull it back. I thought, we're getting close to fall. I need to have the boat ready for fall. So I'm going to take a look behind the curtains, so to speak, and pull back the carpet. I pulled back the carpet. I lifted out the seating platform, and you can actually see where that was sitting here. It's just rotten underneath. When I pulled back the carpet, on top of the wood is the fiberglass and the epoxy skin. It's a waterproof solid membrane that in this case was acting like a trampoline. It was the only thing that kept me from going through to the bottom of the boat. Anyways, I got in here and it wasn't looking good. It was all rotted out. And so I started picking away at it. And I talked to people and read that, hey, you can just put some epoxy in there, solid, it'll kind of solidify it. It'll be as good as new. It wasn't a quick fix. So, anyways, there's that floor. There is the boat. Now, I started pulling away more parts and pieces, and pretty soon this is what the inside of my boat looked like. This was not going to be a quick weekend fix. Once I cleared out the floor, and there's a lot of elbow grease that goes into it. You can use some of the scrapers and hammers and sledgehammers and face masks and gloves and knives and saws, and it's demolition. So you're demolishing this, and I got through everything, and then somebody told me that you'd better check your transom. I said, nah, my transom's good, solid as a rock. You can feel it. Well, in order to get the motor off, to check the transom, now you can kind of get a screwdriver and wedge in there, kind of feel it, but I wanted to open the cap and get down in there. To do that, I had to take the motor off. I had to cut through the splash well to get all my lines off of the motor. And I did that, pulled it off, and ultimately, this is a sneak to the end, but you can see I had to take off the transom. I'm going to show you videos on the transom. That's going to be another chapter, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to go through the demolition part today, and then I'm going to go through the rest of the build in my next chapters. So what this is the foam. You can see down here, this is the foam block that was under the bunks. I kept these because it's still foam. If I were to do it again, I probably would replace it, but I'm going to encapsulate it. It's still foam. More importantly, it was the structure for my bunks, so I was able to create my right angles, my attach points, my heights. Everything stayed perfect with that. So my advice to you is keep that foam. You can see the foam on the floor is just inserted. You can see the little round plugs where they must have put the foam inserts in, and the foam goes in, then it expands to the volume of whatever vessel it is in. That's what I've got there. What you're going to notice here is, see these, I got my stringers right here, but see these, this is supposed to be a stringer, essentially a 2x4 that goes from the front of the back of the boat all the way along here. That was all completely rotted out. You can see part of it down underneath there. So, moving my head down to look. So what I did is initially this was still going to be a quick fix for me. I got spar urethane. Spar urethane is a product that it creates a shell, but it also is a little bit like a varnish or a paint. Not exactly, but it's a quick fix. You paint that on, it makes it waterproof, and you screw the floor back in, put some carpet on, you're ready to go. That's what I was initially going to do. When you do this, though, make sure that you coat all 6 sides, the top, the bottom, and all 4 of the edges, especially the edges, because the edges are where the membranes of the wood are that suck the water in like a straw. You can see getting the edges here. That's my wife helping out. I label everything, so I dry fit everything, then I coat it, flip it over, and by the time you put a second and third coat on these things, you start to forget what you knew initially when you cut it out. So that's why I like to write down. Again, an old psychology professor once told me that faded ink is far better than the best memory. In building a boat, I think it's a good rule of thumb. You're going to see I have a ton of pictures as well. It's amazing what you think you're going to remember, and you look back at the picture and you go, oh wow, that's the way it was. So what I did is I did take those boards and I screwed them in just so I had a working platform to keep the junk in the boat, basically. I worked all the way up to the front deck. When I got to the front deck, this is all pretty solid fiberglass, so there wasn't a lot that I had to worry about here. I did take some time to go fishing. That's my son. You take pictures of everything. So you take pictures of where the hinges are. You take pictures of just where you have things mounted, how far the hinge is from the end of a platform, from the top, from the sides. This is my old rear fiberglass casting deck. I actually went to a plywood with a West coating on it. It was lighter and had better structural integrity. This thing actually had quite a bow in it. Again, more pictures. You wouldn't believe the number of wires and hoses that are in a boat. Now, I am admittedly an electronics junkie. I usually have at least 3 locators in my boat. Sometimes you pull those out and you don't take out all the wires. There were wires all over in my boat. Here again, more pictures. You can see all the stuff down below, all the stuff up above. More measurements. Even measurements as simple as this. This means nothing to anybody out there except me. I know exactly what that means and how it relates to me. Take those pictures. Don't worry. They don't have to be photographic quality. They just have to be good for bringing back a memory. This thing was something as simply as measuring where that hinge, how long that hinge was. Up here, I'm taking a picture of this because this zircon probably hasn't functioned for me for at least 15 years. That light hasn't functioned for probably 20 years. That outlet hasn't functioned in ever. And so I'm going to pull all of this off, but I want to remember where things were on here. This hatch has sagged for as long as I can remember. I did fish all new wire through the boat. We'll get to that in another section. At this point in time, fall was upon us, and so I put everything back in the boat so I could put it in the storage and bring it out in the spring. So, folks, that's what I did to start my demolition process. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to have more chapters on the transom, on the flooring, on the carpeting, etc. Let me know if you have questions. Just send me a message in Messenger or whatever. I'm happy to answer them. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.